How happy are you? Clap your hands happy? Well, you're going to find out in my speech today just how happy you are. The way that I'm going to do that is by having my assistant, Patty Weekly, give you a test on your level of happiness. All I want you to do is read the instructions on this happiness test, and then we were going to talk about how happy you are. So a little bit about this test. It was created by University of Illinois psychologist Ed Diener, and he created this, and this is being used worldwide. I'm going to give you 2 minutes once Patty gets this passed out to you to actually take it and find out how happy you are. And when you're done, if you will set your pens down so I know you're finished. 2 minutes. You're a minute in. Set down your pen when you're done, please. If you'd like to add them up, certainly add them up. I'm sure you probably already have. Okay, how happy are you? Well, we're going to find out. By the end of this speech, you're going to learn exactly how happy you are and what you can put into your life to get happy. When I first took this assessment in 2005, my level of happiness was a 27. Very satisfying. Good foundation to start from in 2005. So since that time, I'm going to take you on this journey in positive psychology that I went on with my wife involved. And you're going to learn how you can take away some things that I'm telling you today and incorporate into your life. The exercises that you're going to learn about are from the genre of positive psychology, of which is a favorite interest of mine that started in 2005. And it all started right here. I want to show you the article and how I went about reading an article in 2005, January 17th, sitting in my office, reading this story that I still have. The New Science of Happiness. What makes the heart sing? Researchers are taking a close look. What they found may surprise you. Just how happy are you? What makes us happy? Measure your happiness like you've done with this test today. And can we get happy? When I read this, I was like so excited. It's like there's actually validation, there's scientific proof that shows why I'm happy. I remember making a copy of this and giving it to my boss and my boss's boss and everybody that I worked with, that there's validation for why I am happy. I made a choice to be happy. Because I had already started developing my core values. My 3 core values: I will live my life with passion, with a positive attitude, and I will surround myself in positive relationships. I had also created my own, a personal mission statement, for which I owe a debt of gratitude to Dr. Charles Swindoll, who has the quote that I keep with me all the time. Because I'm convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. Well, I always carry it around with me. I actually use this as a part of a story for all new employees that come through Franklin University, talking about choice and attitude. Another part that I read in that article was this 8 steps to a more satisfying life. I decided I'm going to incorporate that into my life also. So I have it on the back of my card about the attitude statement. I've actually done speeches on these 8 steps to a more satisfying life in 2008 here at Toastmasters. This is the gentleman that they call the father of positive psychology, Dr. Martin Seligman. A little bit about his website that I'm going to show you here in a minute is called Authentic Happiness. And what I want you to know, at the end of this speech, you will have all of these resources to take with you today. So if you just don't want to write anything down, you just want to listen, feel free to do it, because I have it all up here for you to take away with you today. A little bit about Dr. Seligman. He's the director of Positive Psychology Center at the University of Pennsylvania and the founder of Positive Psychology. It's a branch of psychology which focuses on the empirical study of such things as positive emotions, strengths-based character, and healthy institutions. If you think about Norman Vincent Peale's The Power of Positive Thinking, that's fine and good, but he didn't have the research to back it up, like Dr. Seligman. Here's a quote from Dr. Seligman about what he does in his work. "Here is my foundation of the good life. Using your signature strengths every day in the main realms of your life to bring abundant gratification and authentic happiness." I'm going to show you the website, Authentic Happiness. Again, you have this at the end of the speech. This website is free to use. There are 20 assessments that you can take about happiness and positive psychology. The one I want to call your attention to is the VI survey, character strengths. VI stands for values in action. It will give you your top 5 strengths. So you're thinking, Tracy, did you take the top 5 strengths from Authentic Happiness? Yes, I did. And here is my top strengths in 2005. So as you look at those, you know me as a Toastmaster colleague. Do you think these identify my strengths? Would you agree with that? Disagree? Those are my strengths. It validated from the article my strengths and how I've decided to be happy. Fast forward to 2012. It changed. 3 and 4 stayed the same. But this new one, that in 2008 was probably number 11, jumped up to number 1. That creativity. And if you remember the speech that I talked about thinking style preferences, the HBDI, the A quadrant, B quadrant, C quadrant, and D quadrant. The D quadrant was what I wanted more of in my life. I was aware of that. So I became intentional about tapping into my true creative self. And that is one of my strengths. But you can have these strengths, but you've got to apply them. So what I decided to do was, rather than just be aware of what those strengths are, I decided I was going to be intentional. And so I answered these 4 questions about how I am going to incorporate those things into my life and play my about the application. Then in 2009, I was so interested in this thing called positive psychology, Franklin just happened to have a course in positive psychology that Tammy has probably already taken, being an applied psychology major. It's the psychology of personal development. Two of the books that they're referred to many times in that class are the Authentic Happiness book by Dr. Martin Seligman and a primer in positive psychology by Chris Peterson out of the University of Michigan. This really helped me tap in to positive psychology and my authentic happiness. In the book, Authentic Happiness, there's a happiness formula. Imagine that, a happiness formula. So let me walk you through that. The H stands for an enduring level of happiness, not a temporary level of happiness. The S is your genetic set point or range. And the C is the intervening circumstances of your life. And the V represents factors under your voluntary control. So since you can't do much about changing your genetics, when it comes to being happier, the best way to increase your happiness is through being intentional with voluntary activities. It makes a lot of sense, as you can't change your genetics. And circumstances are either out of your control, or they make very little contributions to your happiness. So let's talk about this set point, this range that you're born with. There's an inherent steersman that you were born with from your biological parents. They actually did studies, Martin Seligman and others have done studies about that set point. They did research on identical twins that were separated at birth. And through everything they went through, they had this set point that they always came back to in their lives. Now let's talk a little bit about these circumstances, the C in that happiness formula. What do you guys think are the top 2 circumstances to lead to happiness? What do you think it is? I'm sorry?
7.
Number 7. Okay?
Health.
Health?
Your health.
Health. That's not up there.
Someone.
Okay?
That's what I feel.
Number 2, marriage. Okay? All right. So we all have an idea of what makes us happy, but the research shows what makes us happy. Here are the things that make us happy. You think being well paid. It isn't. Because what the research shows is once your basic needs are met, additional income does little to raise your sense of satisfaction in life. They actually did studies of lottery winners. Initially happy, but they come right back down to that set point or set range. What about being married? Being married, Dennis had that as a choice. Generally, they are happier than singles. But science shows that those people were happier to begin with. Law of attraction. Young, not so. Older people are more consistently satisfied with their lives than young. Weather. That's the one for me. I thought, wanting to live in San Diego, I thought it would be the weather. The science shows in a study in 1998 that people in the Midwest were just as happy as people in San Diego, California. Well educated. Nope. Neither education nor high IQ paves the road to happiness. The two that do, religion and friends. And actually there's no sign, there's something with religion, but they're not sure. Is it God or is it the community in which they fellowship? Friends, hands down, the number one thing in being happy. Ed Diener, who created the test that you took, he says, the happiest people have high quality social relationships. Research shows more lonely people suffer psychologically. So what are the things that are under your voluntary control? Because that's the most important part of the formula. I'm going to talk to you about these things and how I've incorporated these things in my life. 3 blessings. At the end of the day, write down 3 things that you're grateful for and why you are grateful for them. What the science shows, by taking time each day to write down 3 things that went well and why, people are less depressed and happier 3 months later and 6 months later. Scientifically proven. Example that I've incorporated in my life is my wife, Karen, and I. Every morning before I leave, I ask my wife what she's grateful for. And she does the same with me. That starts out my day. And then I do this. I pick my attitude for the day as well. Gratitude journal. Research has shown that taking time to consciously count your blessings once a week significantly increased subjects' overall satisfaction with life over a period of 6 weeks, while a control group that did not keep journals had no such gains. I've had several gratitude journals in my life. I've got the one from The Secret that I filled up. This is my 2nd book in that, and this is one that I made myself. What I did for this gratitude journal was, once I picked my attitude, I did more than that. I picked my attitude for the day and wrote down why, what I was grateful for, what I enjoyed during that day, and how satisfied I was during that day. I made a choice to put these things into my life. Gratitude visit. I want you all to close your eyes. Close your eyes. I want you to think about someone that you owe a debt of gratitude. Think of someone that's alive that you owe a debt of gratitude. Open your eyes. Now you are going to think about writing a letter of appreciation to that person. 200 to 300 words, and be very, very specific about what they meant to you in your life. Then you call them up. Don't tell them why you're coming over. Call them up, take time to go there, and read your letter of appreciation during that gratitude visit. And be in the moment with what's happening, how you're interacting. I have actually done that with my mentor. It was in 2005, 2006. This is it right here. John Matney. And what he meant to my life. And I'm convinced that if it wasn't for John Matney and my interaction with him, I wouldn't be standing up here talking to you the way I am today. Part of what I've incorporated into my life. The next thing are these signature strengths that I've told you about, the values in action, by getting your top 5 and employing them in your life. You can do that when you get to the website to take the test of your top 5 strengths. So there's something with gratitude that is a key theme in your level of happiness. And Chris Peterson from the University of Michigan, that wrote a primer in positive psychology, says this about gratitude. Giving makes you feel good about yourself. When you're volunteering, you're distracting yourself from your own existence. When you're volunteering, you're distracting yourself from your own existence, and that's beneficial. Giving puts meaning into your life. You have a sense of purpose because you matter to someone else. You feel connected to others. Another thing that you can apply to your life is this appreciative inquiry approach. This is from the coaching genre, and the term was coined by Dr. David Copperfield in 1986 at Case Western Reserve. And here's his definition of appreciative inquiry. It involves the art and practice of asking questions that strengthen a system's capacity to heighten positive potential. An example of that. In our traditional model of problem solving, it's finding the problems. What are you going to get from that? The problems. So the questions are like, what's the problem? If it's broke, let's fix it. Focus on the problem and what problems are you having. Whereas an appreciative inquiry approach looks at it like this. It's finding the solutions. It's finding the solutions. It's asking questions like, what works best for you? Let's focus on your strengths and what works for you. Imagine all the positive possibilities that you have and what's working well around here. Appreciative inquiry focuses on what works and helps develop collaborative appreciation for what is well and good in people. It uses past experiences and builds on past successes. It provides the freedom and encouragement to focus on what people do well and foster a deeper commitment to achieve their goals and their full potential. Applying these principles to your life. Become known for noticing when people do a good job and good things, rather than finding the problems. Now that I'm at the end of my speech, I want you to reflect on and look at your happiness test. Because now you have 11 things at your disposal to incorporate into your life to become happier, more positive, and more well-being. Thank you.